Hello, good evening, Maciel. Hello.
Hello, teacher.
How are you doing today?
I can't complain. You?
Yeah, the same. Everything
Mm-hmm.
goes well so far.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, God.
Yeah. So in this session, Ingrid, we're gonna see the following topics, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But first, we have a little introduction about this session, which is focuses on the theoretical and practical dimensions of educational material design, emphasizing its pivotal role in facilitating meaningful learning experiences, okay? And educational materials serve as essential mediators between instructional goals and learners' engagement, requiring thoughtful design and strategic adaptation to meet diverse educational needs. And throughout this session, we will critically examine the principles underlying effective design, material design, including the use of schemes, formats, and sequences. That will be the topics that will be discussing today, okay? To structure
Mm-hmm.
content logically and coherently. We also we will also analyze the processes of designing and editing, identifying key factors that influence the quality and relevance of educational resources. And something important, a significant component in this session will address the concept of didactic mediation, highlighting the educator's role in bridging the gap between learners, the materials through pedagogical strategies that enhance comprehension and interaction. So when we say didactic mediation and pedagogical strategies, I'm pretty sure that this will be not difficult for you because you got some knowledge about it because you are an English teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
that will be your part, okay? Do you remember that yesterday I told you that you need to read a lot, the whole document that we have in this session, right?
Right, teacher.
So you have to be ready. It's not for today, but you have to be ready for tomorrow because tomorrow we will be discussing about it, okay?
Okay.
Okay, good. Let's continue to this and see the topics that we're going to discuss in this session. Educational material design, the schemes, formats, and sequence, as I told at the beginning, the principles of material design, the designing and editing processes, and some factors to consider for material design. So those topics belong to Unit 2, which is design and development of educational materials. Our objectives for these sessions are, we got three, right? We got one of conceptual, the procedural, and the aptitudinal, right? So we have to analyze the fundamental principles of educational material designs, as well as the factors that should be considered during the design and editing process. Remember that when you design some educational materials, this one can be edited, right? Because remember that nobody knows, we don't know what moment we're gonna find a different situation in the classroom, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then we have to develop educational materials tailored to a specific group, applying the schemes and format discussed in class and using appropriate pedagogical mediation strategies. And the last one, to promote a commitment to didactic mediation in the development of educational materials, valuing the importance of the teacher's role in facilitated learning. Okay, so these objectives will be applied for this session and for the session that we got tomorrow, right?
Okay.
Okay, let's move on. And as usually, you know that we start with some speaking activity that I would like to listen to you. What do you understand about this context? The first one, what do you understand by educational material? This is related to the first question that we got in the first session, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you brought to your mind those things?
Educational materials are all the materials or things that help teacher to teach students different kind of topic, different way, different skills.
Yeah. So you said educational materials help to teachers for teaching,
Uh,
right?
I am
So
teachers as well. I mean students as well,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, that was my question. Only for teachers? No,
No,
it's
no,
not only for
not only
teachers,
for teachers, for
for
both.
students as well, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
for both. Good.
yeah.
Let's see the second one. Have you used any type of educational material in your classes? Which one is your favorite and why?
Mm, um, auditorially, you said the last time,
Hmm.
the classification of
Yeah,
auditory, it was the
yeah,
right word.
yeah.
Auditory. I love to use that because my students um have a lot of fun with that, and it's easier with them work different kind of vocabulary, and
So
they can.
yeah,
Mhm.
so you consider that with this kind of materials, it's much easier for the student to understand, right?
Yeah, yeah. For kids, it's much better.
Yeah. Have you ever used PowerPoint presentations?
Not to my kids. I use some videos like movies, but not PowerPoint yet.
Yeah, okay, good. Let's continue with the third one. What characteristics do you think educational materials should have to be effective?
Mm,
I can give you one of
mhm,
those, just to give you an example as a clue, right?
mhm.
So for me, one of the characteristics that we take into considerations when preparing or when designing educational material is the clarity, you know? So the educational materials should be clear to be understandable, right? Because
Okay. Mhm.
you can design the best educational materials, but if those are not clear, probably won't be difficult for will be difficult, sorry, for the students, right? You understand?
Yeah, okay. So another one will be, for example, the size of the material that you are going to use with your group.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if I have 60 students in my classroom, I'm not going to use a small material for them or a small flashcard, for example.
Mm-hmm.
If I
Okay.
want to teach them, I think I have to have in mind that all of them have to watch the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, that should be another characteristics that I think that we have to take into consideration is the engaging, right? Because remember that we have to engage to the student, we have to involve to the student, to the classes, especially when you're developing speaking, right? So
Yeah,
they have to be easy to use, and they have to be accessible, okay, to all of the students, right?
but that depends of the age that the students have.
Yes, 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 because remember that we have different types of ages, right?
Yeah, and the English level that they have as well.
Yeah, but I've seen the kinds of students that you got, and they are a lot of energetic.
Mhm.
Okay, let's let's see the next one. How do you think educational materials can help you learn better?
Mm, mm, because they catch, for example, my attention.
Mhm. Do you think that they can help you understand the topic better?
Yeah,
Mhm. Do you think that when we use educational materials, they provide practical examples?
sure.
Yeah, yeah. So this is just to practice interactively, right? Between the students and teachers, okay? Good.
For example, you are
Yeah.
right now using a educational material with me.
Yes, yes. And I can see that it's much easier for you to understand, right? Let's stick to the point, right?
Okay.
Let's see this one. What types of materials do you think would be most useful for a specific group of students, such as those with different learning styles?
Mm, what type? For example, with kids from 5 to 7 will be the auditorial material. I'm not sure.
Yes. No, yes, yes. Remember that one of the most effective materials that we can use when working with young learners are the visual materials. Because remember that kids learn by visualization, right? It's
Right.
easier for them to learn better.
And reputation. Reputation. That's the correct word.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. In my experience, I have seen that they learn more when they see the same thing every single day. For example, I can leave a topic that I touched them last week just because I gave them. I have to remember that every single day.
Hmm. Have you ever tried to play those activities that are hands-on games or hands-on activity?
Mm, no.
For example, this is good when you want to activate the kinesthetics learners. For example, I remember that when I was working as an English teacher in primary education with first grade, I usually implement the Simon Says, right? Or the sounds like if you're
Ah,
happy, 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 clap your hands.
I
So and you
understand.
you do the movement, and
Uh-huh.
probably at the beginning the kids don't understand what you're singing, but if they see, remember that they learn by visualization. So they see that you're moving your hand, you're clapping with your hands, so they start doing the repetition.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yes, I have used it with them.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of music. They know a lot of music about that, like
Mm-hmm.
that. Mm-hmm.
Or Simon Says, everybody stands up.
Mm-hmm. Or
And
Simon
you,
says, "Breathe me will be your backpack." For example, when
mm-hmm.
we are teaching objects, school
Yeah,
objects.
yeah. And what was
Mm-hmm.
the name that I told you that when we have the real objects, what's the name of the technique? I told in the previous session.
Kinesthesia. No, no, no.
No,
I don't remember.
realia.
Ah, realia. Yeah.
Realia.
Realia.
Okay,
Realia.
yeah,
Mhm.
realia. So let's see the last one. What do you expect to learn about the design of educational materials in this session?
Mm, Um, in this session, I would like to know what is mediation materials about.
Yeah, but that will be discussed in the second, in the next one.
And the second,
Yeah, that is related to you said didactic mediation, right? And the
uh,
pedagogical strategies, right?
mm-hmm. I
Yeah,
would like to know what's that.
yeah. But according to the tutoring sessions, you know that the point is to create materials that right
Yeah.
that will be effective for teaching. But in this case, you will not learn how to create because you created it now because you are an English teacher, right? But
Right.
you can learn some strategies, some techniques that you can implement when designing your materials, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, good. Let's move on. Here in this slide, we got what does educational material design involve? Can you read the first paragraph?
The design of education materials involves creating resources that facilitate students' learning. These materials can vary in form and format, but should always be functional, accessible, and tailored,
Yes.
tailored to the content being taught and the needs of the target group.
Yes, you know that when working with kids, so your educational materials must be creative, right?
Yeah,
Because you need to catch their attentions, right?
right. Mm-hmm.
And as well, we have to take into account that this kind of materials can vary. Why? Because remember that we have different types of learning styles. So
Yeah.
there are some kids that can learn faster, but there are some others that can learn slower. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to take into account those characteristics of your young learners, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have some example here. We have the schemes, formats, and sequence. What about the schemes? The scheme, sorry. This is refers to the visual representations that organize information. For instance, a flow chart illustrating a process or a conceptual map connecting related ideas. So especially when you got a lot of information, you can use this kind of things to summarize, to synthesize the information, right? We also have the formats. So the formats are those predefined templates
Mm,
or
teacher,
structures. Yes?
sorry for interview, but I would like to have an example
Yeah,
of a
yeah, yeah.
scheme.
Tell me. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. For you, give me one.
yeah. You will have an example
I would like to have one. Would you give me one?
about the schemes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that probably with kids, you cannot use map a conceptual map because you are not using information, but you can use infographic that is a visual representation, okay? An educational poster. For example, when you want to learn to introduce, let me see, to introduce the habit, the visual
Mm-hmm.
habits that we have. For example, brush your teeth. You can show a picture with a kid who is brushing his or her teeth. Okay, so that is the schemes that we got, right?
Mm, yeah.
And
I'm
the four,
asking.
yeah,
Sorry, I'm asking that because we have a teacher on Sundays that he was teaching about this topic, and the explanation was very confused.
really?
All the
How so?
students, uh, it's fat. I don't remember what is his name, but
Okay,
he was
okay. So something important that you have to take into account, Ingrid, is the student's need, the student's characteristics. Okay, because in this case, as you're working with young learners, you will not be working with PowerPoint presentations because that can be boring for them, and it's an effective educational material, but not for the age of student you got,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we have to look for the specific, the most suitable material depending on the age of the learners. Okay,
Okay.
so
So
the concept that we got here is the in a general form, in a general way, right?
okay. And
Okay.
so just I'm going to use schemes materials with kids, not with adults.
No, you can for example, a conceptual mapping that is not recommendable for kids, or is it?
No.
So you can use this one with adults, teenagers, right? So
Okay.
that was that I told you. You have to look for two important things. First, you have to see the student's age, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the other one, you have to see, or you have to take into considerations the student's characteristics. as I told you before, remember that in a classroom, you got different types of students with different types of behaviors and even with different types of learning styles, right? So those things you have to
Yeah.
take into account, right? And the formats, when we
Yeah.
say formats, we refer to the predefined template or structures for organizing context. In this one, we can include, for example, when you're working with teenagers and you're working grammar. So you can include grammatical worksheets. Okay. Let's suppose that you're working the present perfect or the simple present tense. Okay. So you can work with worksheets. Okay. But in the worksheets, we have different types of activities. So you have probably filling the gaps, completing the sentence, identifying the main verbs, etc., etc. Okay, all depends on what you want to achieve. Because remember that for every session in the classroom, we got some objectives, right? That at the end we must achieve those ones. How? Well, so we have some strategies. We have the strategies, the techniques, the activities, the games, different ways how to achieve the goals. Okay. And that is related when we say the kinds of exercises that we have in the worksheet, that is the sequence. Okay, so we have the logical order in which materials are presented. For example, a series of activity that progress from simple to complex. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's suppose that you're working with let's see, with a reading comprehension. Let's suppose with teenagers. Okay. And you got an academic reading comprehension or a historical reading comprehension. And the first activity that you start is the critical thinking. Okay, and the second activity you got, it's the building vocabulary, matching words with its definition. So do you think that that's the logical order that you got?
But what's the first?
Critical thinking, and you got some questions where the student have to infer about the reading about the reading understanding, and then we have vocabulary section that they have to build vocabulary by context. No, they don't have, right?
First, I have to teach them vocabulary, no?
Yes, first we have to start with the building vocabulary by context to understand better the reading, sorry, and then start thinking why the author thinking about this or this, right? So that is the sequence. So we need to know which activity we can put first, which second, and so on, right?
Oh.
So something important. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let's see the next one. Next slide. So we got some principles of material design, and we got clarity, relevance, interactivity, adaptability. We have accessibility. Some of them we were discussing at the beginning. Remember that I told you that one of the characteristics of the educational material is that they have to be clear, right? So that is related to the clarity. What do you think?
Yes, we have to use it. We have to design the material with clarity.
Yes, they have to be clarity, because remember that they should be easy to understand and follow, right?
Yeah.
If the materials are not clear, so it won't be difficult for the students. Probably your material was very good, but it was not clear, okay? So the second one is relevance. Why do you think that the educational materials must be relevant?
Mm, I don't know if have to be with the interesting that the way that we are going to create the material. I don't know, teacher. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
No
you
sé.
changed your tone of voice.
To my mind just uh, comes the word have to be interesting for my student. I don't know
Mhm.
if that's.
Yeah. Remember that the educational materials must be relevant because something important in your daily lesson plan are the objectives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take into account there because this kind of material must be aligned with learning objectives, okay? And
Mm,
don't forget the group's needs, okay? I
mm,
mean, if you see that your group of first grade they got problems with some verbs, for example, some verbs to express daily routines. So you need to focus on that, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why that they must be relevant. What about interactivity?
Mm, mm. The materials have to play interaction with the students.
Yes, good. They should be encourageable, right? To
Mm-hmm.
encourage active students participation. Remember that at the end in the classroom, especially for those classroom that has a lot of students, so you need to involve all of the students.
Um,
Because if you
but
don't do that, remember that some kid says, la profesora tiene afinidad solo con aquel grupito, a nosotros no nos
mm-hmm.
hace caso. But probably you don't think in that way because you got too many students, about 40 or 45. So the
Mm-hmm.
interactivity is so important. Why? Because you need to encourage not one student to a student, no, all of the students you got in the classroom, right?
Right. Teacher,
You
could you give me an example uh,
for what?
for interactivity?
Yeah, a simple.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna use the same example that I told at the beginning.
No, no, no. Sorry. Just I wanna give you a scenario.
Okay.
Uh-huh. You have 60 students from sixth grade, and you have to create a material for them with interactivity, with this principle, interactive way. How you are going to design this material because there are 60 students in the classroom. As you know,
A lot.
it's difficult to create
Yeah,
this
it's
kind of material
difficult.
for 60
Yeah.
60 students.
So let me answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that so that's why that the educational in the primary education, sorry, in the primary education, some topics can be repeated 2 3 times or 2 or 3 weeks, right? So
Mm-hmm.
and one of the most important skills that the Ministry of Education is asking for to be developed is the speaking skills.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the context that you got. But remember that let's suppose that we are talking about let's see, about the daily routines that you got,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can implement songs
Mm-hmm.
that probably they did or they sang in the previous year. For example, I don't remember the song, but it's related to the ABC
Mm-hmm.
that they mentioned 3 or 4 letters and they start singing a sentence related to the daily routines. But I don't have the name now. But
Mm-hmm.
you can interact in this way. But that is if you're teaching the interactivity, right? But sorry, the daily routines. And
But
sorry.
it's just listening, speaking. But how are you going to evaluate that? Wait, when we,
It's gonna be impossible. It's gonna be impossible to evaluate all of the student in one session. That's the sad reality that we got, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be impossible, but you can take in 2 or 3. It's my understanding that you got 3 frequencies, right, per week with them.
Mm-hmm.
So you
To
can
be
evaluate, yeah.
to be honest, teacher, last year was horrible for me because uh, I was not able to create a good material for them and a good evaluation because keep the discipline with them was very difficult.
Yeah, especially
Yeah,
for 5th and
eh,
6th
and
grade.
and I think
They are
that we have
naughty.
we have to think when we are going to create materials the number
Yeah.
of students that you
In
have.
that case, I recommend you a very small material, not too big, because remember their behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can do something quick.
For
So
example.
you can stick to the point about, let's see, let's suppose let's suppose that you introduced the adjective, right? The
Mm-hmm.
adjective for describing animals, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, and in the next session, you can use some flashcard, just animals, a picture
Mm-hmm.
of an animal, and you say, okay, folks, okay, students, today I'm gonna show you some animals, and you're gonna tell me just one adjective that you consider best describe this animal. Okay, you start showing a lion, and they say dangerous. Okay, that's very good. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
in this one, you're gonna see something. You're gonna see if they master the adjective for describing animals or not. If they do, next session, you can introduce sentences using
Mm,
adjective. You understand what I mean or not?
mm, more or less.
Ok,
Just
te
I'm
explico en
thinking
español, te explico en español. Mira, aquí tienes que ir como una escala.
uh-huh.
Es decir, suponete, bueno, en sexto grado se
The
dan en
sequence.
quinto, sí,
It's a
exacto.
sequence.
Entonces,
Uh-huh.
yo no puedo enseñarle un flashcard al chavalo de quinto o sexto grado de un animal y decirme, regálame una oración para que describa este animal si todavía los chavalos no han perfeccionado los adjetivos.
Mm-hmm.
Sería un caos total.
Ilógico también.
Exacto. Entonces, ahí viene lo que es la secuencia, ¿no?
Sí.
Entonces, yo lo que tengo que hacer es, con mi mismo flashcard, solo pedirle nada más un adjetivo que me describa tal animal. Que le enseño al león y me dice el dangerous, ¿ok? El otro me dice wild, ¿ok? Está bien. Yo en esa y sigo practicando con ellos, ¿verdad? Ojo con esto, empiezo a agarrar a los que son más inquietos, porque
Mm-hmm.
recordad que son los que más rápido te van a armar el desorden.
Sí.
Entonces los empiezo a agarrar a ellos porque al final necesito evaluarlos a todos, ¿no?
Sí.
Entonces, vengo dejando de último al que yo confío de que en realidad estudia. Entonces, una vez que yo me doy cuenta y veo de que ellos ya dominan lo que son los adjetivos, vengo yo y en la próxima sesión puedo trabajar los mismos flashcards para que ellos recuerden cuál era el adjetivo que me mencionaron
Mm-hmm.
y puedo decirle, redacta una oración. Puedes pedírselo de manera speaking, que sería más rápido, o de manera plan pizarra.
Mm-hmm.
Entonces, pero siempre y cuando tenés que darle un ejemplo al comienzo. Okay, let's
Sí,
see an
sí.
example. This is my example. Okay, this is a rabbit. Okay, the rabbit is small. Okay, or this is a tiger. The tiger is dangerous. Está bien. Ahora voy a enseñarle, decía, a ver, con el león, viene el niño y te cambió de tiger por lion y te dice, the lion is dangerous. O sea, te está hablando,
Mm-hmm.
se están comunicando. No sé si me voy a entender.
Sí, 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 clarito,
Y
clarito.
ahí tenés que ir probando, ahí tenés que ir probando. Sí, te entiendo. Y desanima a veces con una
Sí.
sección de 60 estudiantes. Yo tuve 3 sexto grado, 2 quinto grado y las secciones estaban llenas y eran los 2 grados que más me estresaban porque eran los más insolentes.
Sí. Sí.
Metía mis manos al juego por segundo y tercer grado. Qué
Sí,
niños más
igual.
portados
Ay, sí.
aprendían, pero ya cuando llegan, van pasando cuarto, como que se transforman, se
Sí, sí.
transforma.
Es cierto, es cierto.
Okay,
Es
let's
cierto.
continue.
Ajá. Gracias.
Okay, don't worry. We are here to help you. Espérame, creo que me pasé una acá. Ok, aquí tenemos the principles.
Adaptability. You didn't explain that.
Okay, let's see the process of designing and editing. Creating high quality educational materials involves several phases, right? Dice que al crear materiales educativos muy buenos, ¿verdad? Muy buenos, de alta calidad, involucran 7 fases. La primera sería research and analysis. What do you think?
Mm, no. Research.
Algo acá que tenemos que tener en cuenta es identificar las necesidades del estudiante y tener en
Ah,
cuenta nuestros objetivos de aprendizaje, ¿ok?
ajá.
Ahí
Ujú,
estamos claros, ¿verdad?
ajá. Ya, ya,
Ok,
ya.
¿qué hay del planning?
Mm, ¿cómo voy a incluir material o qué tipo de material voy a utilizar
Ajá,
para el tema?
el proceso de diseñar, en este
Ujú,
caso el planning, ¿cómo sería? Recordad que debemos definir tema, contenido, ¿no?
ujú, sí.
El método de
El
enseñanza,
método
ajá, y la
y las
estructura del material,
actividades.
¿verdad? Las actividades,
Ajá.
exacto. Plasmo mis actividades y de acuerdo a mis actividades yo voy a realizar la estructura de mi material, ¿vale?
Ujú,
Ahora, ¿qué hay del design?
del tipo.
Exacto, exacto, ¿verdad? Vamos a desarrollar el material, es decir, buscamos el tipo de material, seleccionamos qué cosa, el scheme apropiado, es decir, puede ser el
La
tipo de material
secuencia.
apropiado, ajá,
Ajá.
después el formato y la secuencia que debe llevar mis
Ah,
actividades, ¿vale?
ujú, ujú.
Ahora, ¿qué hay del review and editing?
Mm, el material no se tiene que
Ok, una vez que vos diseñaste tu material, lo revisás y si es posible
ujú,
lo editas. ¿Para qué? Para
ujú,
ver si el material está preciso o no, si está
ujú,
claro y si está accesible al estudiante, ¿no?
ujú.
Ah, y el pilot testing, es decir, un pilot testing es cómo me doy cuenta si este material va a ser efectivo o no.
Mm, cuando los chavalos, no sé, captan, asimilan bien el tema, no sé.
Ujú, ujú. Lo puedes probar, ¿verdad? Con un grupo
Sí,
pequeño de estudiantes, ¿verdad? Y luego
ujú,
podés adaptarlo, ¿no? Lo puedes adaptar dependiendo de lo
ujú.
que mires, dependiendo de las necesidades de los estudiantes. Y
Sí, sí.
el final evaluation, en este
De
caso no
cómo,
me refiero a la evaluación final del estudiante, sino a la
ah,
evaluación final del
del
material, ¿no?
material.
Exacto. Entonces, en este caso, ¿cuál sería el final evaluation? Ver al final de mi sesión de clase si en realidad me funcionó, si en realidad fue efectivo o no, ¿verdad?
Mm,
¿Cómo me voy a dar cuenta yo de esto? Ver en el impacto del aprendizaje del
del
estudiante si aprendió o no.
aprendizaje.
¿Got it?
Wow, got it.
Ok, bueno, eso
Mm.
sería todo por nuestra sesión.
Ajá,
Espero te haya gustado, hayas aprendido.
ajá.
Te quiero mostrar lo que es la tarea
Ujú.
para
A
que
ver.
estemos claros con esto, ¿verdad? Que esto va a ser ya lo tuyo. Me avisas si estás viendo la pantalla.
Sí, estoy
Entonces
viendo
dice,
la
Dear
pantalla.
learner, please read carefully the instructions of what you're going to do. Okay, you have to research the following, then do the required below. Vas a investigar sobre el didactic mediation of materials y ahí tenés lo que vamos a hacer. Definition and the most suitable strategies and techniques to mediate between learners and teachers.
Ujú,
Después, el rol de la mediación pedagógica en el desarrollo de los materiales. Vamos a ver el maestro como un mediador, ¿verdad? Y cómo los
ujú.
estudiantes interpretan y aplican dichos materiales. Entonces ahí tenemos que lo que vamos a ver, providing additional context, clarifying doubts, and